Hi, folks. Welcome to our weekly chat. Thanks for joining me this week, and thanks for your patience last week. Thought it was a good idea to take the week off in celebration of the 4th of July, which just happened to land on a Tuesday. So decided to skip a week and hope you didn't mind that, and that we can talk about this topic this week, which is timely for the summer. And we're back into summer after the 4th of July and the end of school year and all that. A friend of mine just actually said this sort of is the first week we feel like it's summer. The rhythm has changed a little bit. We work up to the 4th of July, end of school year, and all those things. And so one of the questions that came up in some online discussion, I had posted on the Aurora Town Historians Facebook and social media pages, Instagram as well, a couple photographs from the archives of the Sun Diet swimming pool. And a lot of folks around the community don't know about it, may know about the Sun Diet Center, which was on Cazenovia Street, and that was a modern day health facility that got itself into some controversy because they had more modern ideas. The idea that the sun and proper diet and relaxation would help your health, in addition to other things, modern day medicine to complement modern day medicine, but to try that first. And it's interesting how that was started here in East Aurora by some health professionals who saw it in a different way, saw the healthcare system in a different way, and thought that those things, yoga, those sorts of things. But it's interesting to think that those ideas have come back, and more people see the benefit of relaxation and low stress and that sort of thing. Part of the facilities over there on Cazenovia Street was a swimming pool, and they put in a pool there in the late 1930s, but the facility had actually closed by 1942. So the swimming pool at the Sun Diet Center was only there for a short period of time, only a couple years. The pool, the Sun Diet Center became apartments after it closed, and as some folks had pointed out on the social media pages, that the pool remained open for a few years for the tenants of this apartment complex. But the pool is no longer there now. A lot of the other amenities are not there, but the buildings have been converted into apartments, the Sun Diet Center. If you want to know more about it, we have an exhibit at Town Hall related to the Sun Diet Center. But the thought process and the questions after those photos were posted is, we take for granted here in East Aurora and in many communities that have a pool, a public summer pool, we take them for granted. And as you heard from some news reports in the city of Buffalo where they closed the pools for a few years amid COVID and other problems, you sort of take the pool for granted until it's not there. And we have this fantastic resource here, the community pool. But we didn't always have the community pool in East Aurora. And actually, before the community pool came along in the 1960s, there was a decades-long struggle to deal with the swimming problem. And I say that because I didn't realize, we look back on the old days, quote unquote, and you see the old TV shows, Little House on the Prairie, The Waltons, you read in books, Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, where the kids just swam in the creeks and the rivers. And it was this nostalgic idea. They did that here in East Aurora. The children swam in Cazenovia Creek, but there were big problems. And people got hurt. I don't know of anybody who's passed away. Tragic stories you hear from other communities. I could be wrong on that. But one of the biggest problems was bacteria. And we think today as bacteria being a modern day issue. We didn't know about bacteria back in the early days, but they were actually testing for bacteria in Cazenovia Creek pretty early on. And actually there was an article in the Easter Advertiser in like 1941 and a couple others where the local government did what they could to close down Cazenovia Creek. Kids were getting sick, and they were coming home with weird illnesses and getting summer colds and rashes, and then they found out that there was high bacterial levels in Cazenovia Creek. And remember, this is before the time where we had environmental laws. People could throw pretty much what they wanted into the waterways, and kids were swimming in it. So when the Sun Diet Center opened its pool, they actually opened up the pool. This was the late 1930s. They opened the pool to the public, very limited. Now, mind you, they were a business, so the customers of that business, the patients of the Sun Diet Center, got first priority. But they opened for swimming lessons and some very limited recreational swimming. But the Cazenovia Creek was the go-to for a lot of local children for swimming, and the swimming hole, the old-fashioned swimming hole. But the bacteria became a problem, and the safety issue became a problem. So after the Sun Diet Center closed, we didn't really have a pool in the community, a safe place for children to swim. So the 1940s, the pool came up again in the mid 1940s. So what they had done is they were had a honor roll for the World War II veterans. I wrote about that a few weeks ago. It was the anniversary of that honor, the dedication of the honor roll outside the high school, which is today the middle school. And they wanted at the end of the war, they had to take the honor roll down. It was only supposed to be temporary, and it had all the names of the service members from the town of Aurora. And the thought process is that they wanted to have a permanent honor roll. Some people wanted it to be a replica of the honor roll, and it was a wooden honor roll that stood outside the school. The names were barely legible by the end of the war, and they wanted to do a permanent one. But some people actually, as they were discussing it in the community, what the permanent plaque, the permanent memorial to those who died in the service in the war, what should that memorial be, and what should the honor roll be for all those who served, not just the folks who gave their lives. And the debate actually got a little heated in East Aurora from the news reports, and some people, including veterans who served, said they didn't necessarily want a plaque that had their name on it. Instead, they wanted something useful, a living memorial, as they would say, something that would benefit the community. And one of the ideas was a swimming pool, because East Aurora didn't have a swimming pool, a public safe place for kids to swim, families, adults too. Unfortunately, this momentum of a memorial, as I wrote about a couple months ago, there was a lot of energy behind it, and then it just seemed to peter out. They couldn't raise the money. There wasn't a community effort that really backed it to the point where they could fund it. So the pool idea went by the wayside. So the 1950s come along, and a citizens group that was led by Mrs. Janet Vossler, and if that name sounds familiar, her family is still around. You may know some Vosslers in East Aurora. She, in the 1950s, started this effort for a community pool, for the children of the community, and literally went door to door with mostly the moms of East Aurora, collecting money, coins, dollar bills, to raise money for a pool. And they actually even had a plan that was published in the newspaper of what the pool would look like, a model of the pool, and this was in the early 1950s. Unfortunately, that effort got pushed to the wayside, an outdoor swimming pool, because the school district decided they proposed an indoor swimming pool at the high school, which is now today's middle school, and that pool that is there. And the voters voted to add that to a capital project in the 1950s. So the plan for an outdoor pool, the community said, well, we don't need two pools, and we don't have enough money for both. So the outdoor pool fell aside as the effort was put toward the high school pool on Main Street at the Main Street School in what is the west wing of the building today. So we got an indoor school pool, but not an outdoor pool. And as we know, an outdoor summer swimming pool is totally different than an indoor school pool. An indoor school pool is not meant for refreshing summer outdoor fun. It's inside. So that effort got pushed aside until the 1960s came along and another civic effort. And Mrs. Vossler was part of it, but the Kiwanis Club stepped in among other groups in the community, and they raised the money for what is now known today as the community pool. Not only they raised the money, they made arrangements that the town would take over the pool once it was built, so it could be managed in perpetuity. Found the land for it on South Street. All those things that go into an effort for a pool that we don't even think about. The land acquisition, insurance, raising the money to build it, and keeping that effort going. So the pool finally opened. Well, actually, the effort started in 1963, and then the pool finally. There was a door-to-door fund drive between 1963 and 1966. Actually, in the summer of '65, they were literally going door to door. There were articles in the newspaper about expect one of the community moms to come to your door and ask for money. This was common. The mothers groups would get together. If you look around our community, there are a lot of things. The library, community efforts where the moms were the force behind it. They saw a problem and they went after it and raised the money and talked to the government and got things moving. And the community pool was one of them. So the pool opened in August of 1966. They had hoped to have it open earlier. They just couldn't get it open. And so they opened it in the middle of the summer. So opened in August of 1966, a little later than planned. And there were a lot of volunteer efforts to get it open. So that's how we got the community pool after years of concern about kids swimming in the swimming holes, a quasi-public pool at the Sun Diet Center, an outdoor pool that really wasn't open to the public. We finally had our community pool. What is amazing is that the pool is still here. The community still supports the pool, and many communities, as we've seen on the news, they can't. They take a lot of effort and money to maintain, and East Aurora has maintained the community pool. But it does go back to 1966, the pool itself. But the effort to get a pool goes back even earlier than that, World War II, and even before that. And so the efforts of Mrs. Vossler and others folks, the Kiwanis Club, paid off. A lesson learned from history on this is persistence pays off. She did not give up. The local civic organizations did not give up. And even though they had many, many setbacks throughout several decades, we finally got our community pool. So that's the little bit of history about the community pool and the history of swimming in our community, that it wasn't always this rosy picture of swimming holes on Cazenovia Creek that you read about in novels or see in movies or on television shows, that there was an actual problem with swimming holes and some safety issues, and parents were concerned about it. It wasn't as nostalgic as we like to think. So, and how big the community pool changed our community. It really became a community asset really quickly. And now we have swimming lessons, and from what I've heard, with this hot summer we're having, it's more popular than ever. So it took a mom, Mrs. Vossler, to keep it on the radar for so many years and to get our community pool. So thanks again for joining me. Again, these videos I do on the side. I am the Town and Village Historian, but this is a project that I do independently of that. If you have any ideas, again, this idea came out of a discussion on social media. Please send them my way, either in the comments or in a private message. And we'll see you next week. And until then, enjoy the sunshine and enjoy the swimming. Take care.